Okay, we're on.
Okay.
So how's everyone's interviews been going for the interview process?
I think it's been going okay so far. Yeah, it was kind of confusing because of like choosing questions to ask, because I basically just asked like the general process of how secondary transition goes, and like we went over the IEP together with the teacher that I talked to, and she kind of walked me through it, and I wanted to see if there's any differences like in that school district as opposed to the forms that we were given, and they weren't. I guess there was just different formatting. So with everything, but like, yeah, it was kind of hard to ask questions.
Yeah. Like I was telling her before you guys got on, I had an interview today with my student's mom, and that was pretty good, just to see like what the home life is like versus school, because that can be really different. And then I've interviewed a couple of his teachers, so I feel like I've gotten a lot of the information. I just want to make sure like I have enough, I guess.
Yeah. I'm still working out a little bit of the kinks, because the student that I was working or am working with still, CPS and services got involved this week in detective. And so they came 3 different times this week.
Oh, wow.
So he's actually only here for like half a day. And so they came like the second half when he wasn't here, then 2 different days when he was here. So it's been a little hard with his interview process. Especially because I was interested because he is a refugee. But now he lives like with his aunt and his mom and stuff. So that's why I was kind of interested in him compared to the other girl I work with, but then kind of got a little halted, I guess you could say.
That's hard.
Yeah, Jenny, I'm in the same boat as you. Like you all know that I was put in a preschool class. And so I had all my interviews set up and everything for this week. And then I actually got switched in a new classroom starting this next Monday.
Wow.
And so I like didn't get to do an interview. So I have to work out some of those kinks of being able to finish that assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny when things really don't go as planned.
No.
We definitely thought that would happen in special education.
Right.
Gosh.
True life of a teacher right here.
In particular, wow. But I guess we can move on to the next one, since half of us are kind of up in the air with that question. So how do Greg, Nate, and Sarah's IEPs align with what you've learned from interviewing teachers?
I think it kind of helped because like after my interview with the high school teacher, I read through the IEPs, and it actually helped me understand it a little better. Because going through each one, I'm like, oh yeah, she talked about this, and it kind of just helped kind of bring together my understanding and to really solidify that, I think. So it was kind of cool.
And also like with interviewing like the gen ed teachers, like they don't really get to see the IEP. They really only get to see the accommodations.
Right.
So it was kind of like interesting to see like their point of view of like my student in their class and like what the accommodations are versus like the special education point of view, just to see like both point of views from the teachers versus special ed.
Right. I agree, because I think I always just kind of assumed especially with like the younger kids, that the gen ed and the special ed teachers would work, I guess, closer together than they do, at least in my school, especially with the kids that I work with. They're very severe, so they're not as often in the gen ed classroom as other ERR students. And it actually kind of came to my surprise with how little they knew about their program that they were in. So this week was interesting to me, getting to talk with a sped teacher and the gen ed teacher together, just kind of talk about the students' program and trying to just get on the same base and trying to have a conversation, not like with my teacher not sounding demeaning or like talking down to the gen ed teacher, being like, well, this is what you need to do. Like, sorry, like it's not going to be the same as every other kid. You know what I mean? I guess I didn't really like think that it would be as separated as it is. Do you guys find that?
Yeah,
I do. In the high school setting, for sure.
I feel like it's really common, actually. I feel like I don't know. From what my teachers complain about it a lot, actually, like the teachers I work with, about how disconnected it is between the gen ed teachers and with them. And so, yeah, I think it's pretty common, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, like what's kind of cool. Oh, sorry, you can go.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just going to say, from my school, because I've been, even though this assignment, you know, we are supposed to interview like the parents and everything, I was talking to my mentor teacher at the time, and I've been involved in an IEP meeting with a previous student before, and, you know, the general education teacher was in there because this student is moving to kindergarten next year, so we wanted to have those traditional like transitional boundaries set, and so she was in there, and they were so accommodating to what was going on and how to work with what we were working on. And so it's interesting to hear that that's not happening like with you all.
I mean, I feel like the accommodations are being met by the teachers because those have to get sent out, but I feel like with their caseload of other students versus our students, sometimes I don't know, it's hard for them to keep up because like my students have a lot of behavior issues. So that's kind of like mostly what we talk about, like versus like the positive things in class. So I feel like, I mean, it's not their fault that they're not involved. I just feel like it'd be great if they could have more input, I guess.
That makes
this
sense.
is going to sound kind of sad, but so you know how a student has a general ed teacher, even though he could spend the whole day in my classroom, which most of my students usually do. For the first 2 weeks, I kid you not, I didn't really realize that they actually had a general ed teacher. I thought that Mrs. Young was their teacher. And so whenever I'd go to the lunchroom with them and they started asking for my kid's name or teacher's name in addition with their lunch, they're like, oh, Young. They're like, no, like what's their real teacher's name? Like their general ed teacher. And I was like, I don't have one because they don't go to class. And like that sounds bad, but like I've never seen like teachers come in, talk about it. Only maybe one or two of my kids actually go to class and are kind of in contact, like their teacher are kind of in contact with mine. And that's kind of sad when you think about it, but like they're so disconnected. Like I don't even think they have a chair or a desk in their room.
Right.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
So I kind of feel like with the 3 IEPs that we looked at, because it says, so how do the IEPs align with what you've learned from interviewing teachers? Sorry, you can go.
Oh, I was listening.
Oh, okay. I mean, it was definitely, like, I've looked at a couple IEPs, but it was definitely cool to see on these IEPs, like, they're in different grades, different learning disabilities.
Oh, yeah.
So it's definitely cool to see this. But I don't know. I'm just blabbing over here.
I agree. I did like seeing the variety, I guess. Like, it wasn't just one behavioral issue or whatever. And, like, there's one kid going to the secondary transition program, and then the other one's just graduating, getting into finding a job, and the other one going to college. It was cool to see the different outcomes.
I agree. I think it was interesting to see who was in attendance of the meetings, because that really told you kind of who was really there for the student and how they were bringing in different people to make that transition a little bit easier.
I thought it was interesting, and I didn't even really look hard on this until it was the question on the quiz about the transfer of the students' rights. To be honest, when I was first reading each of their three, I just kind of through it. And now looking back, it's probably something I really should have taken more time to look at. And I thought I think it's really interesting how that's not made more clear, because I feel like the IEP team information is made a lot more like obvious than the transfer of rights, which almost is a little
right. And it's kind of nice to know, like, to see the layout, like something like that, we wouldn't know what to look for until we saw that question. So now, like, when we look at future IEPs, we can be like, oh, I really know to look for this, or I really know to focus on this part, which is kind of nice. Like, where the important parts are. More important parts, I guess. So what challenges and benefits do you anticipate when creating your portfolio for this class?
I think Jenny and I ran into our first issue. Just setting up meetings and being able to get everybody there that needs to be there. Or even getting into the class that actually is where you're supposed to be. So
can you still work with your other student even though you're in a new class now, or are you going to pick a new?
I have to do everything over.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Are you still in preschool though?
No, I am working with 4th through 7th graders.
Okay.
My goodness.
There's a difference.
Same school, just 4th through 7th graders. So, and there's like 40 kids that this classroom sees. So it'll be interesting being able to really find a student to work with that's consistently in the classroom that I can work with. But
have they assigned you to a kid? Did they just assign you to a classroom, a teacher?
Just the classroom. It's basically resource room, and the kids come in during the day and then they go back to their general education classroom.
So that's what I have. I work in a resource room. Yeah. So like one period we'll have like 5 kids, the next period we'll have like 11, and they'll just come throughout the day.
Yep, that's exactly what I got put into. So
do you do groups in there, Kat?
Yeah, so I got this schedule today, and this is where I think it's going to be really relatable to this class. Is a lot of these students are older, so they're going to be making that transition into the next level. And so that'll be nice to be able to finally click with some things in this class. But there is groups. There's reading, writing, and math groups, and they all have different levels. They all have different ages, so it'll be challenging, but I know for sure that there's a couple groups that there's only like 1 or 2 kids. So that I think is where I'll find my target. Here's my one-on-one. Let's really work with this student. So
at least you get like a different population. Like that's kind of cool. You get to experience that. Even though it is frustrating that you got moved, at least you get to, I guess, experience something different.
Yeah.
So I guess.
Well, and if
I
you need any help, I mean, I think we now have really covered all the bases of ages.
Yeah. Seriously.
Definitely.
Help. We're here for you.
Thanks. Yeah, I have to do, so you know how our semester ends? I have 2 more weeks after that because of the mix-up. So
Yeah. Well, good thing.
yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Everything works out.
It'll work out. It's just hard right now, but it'll work.
Yeah.
And honestly, that age, like, they're funny. They really are. They say the weirdest things. Like, this one kid came up to me at recess, was like, gave me a big hug. Don't really know who he is. It's like, hey, you're so beautiful today. Okay, catch you later. I was like, hey, Dominic.
Nice.
Like, didn't even, like, then 20 minutes later, he was having a rough day. Love the kid. But they're funny. You get a kick out of them, that age. Because, like, I feel like it's easier than a preschool age to tell the difference between a behavior and just a refusal.
Mm-hmm.
Because at preschool, you're like, you might just be wanting a nap and you're tired.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. So we figured out the challenges for creating this portfolio. What do we think our benefits are to creating this portfolio?
Having everything in one place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being able to refer back to all of like our information, like you said, all in one place. That'll be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Having, I guess, resources, like we have our couple teachers that we can refer back to if we have any further questions as resources.
That we have working where we are or being where we are. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good that we could possibly add to it even after this class, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like our teacher portfolio is something that we should always be working on.
And also, like at my school, they just changed it. I guess it was last year. So usually we would follow our students throughout high school, but now we only have the sophomores. So every year we get new kids. But I guess what's cool, like when I create this portfolio, I can pass it on to their next special education teacher, just so they have like, oh, I know what his likes are, his behaviors, all this stuff, so then they don't have to go through that as like a resource for them.
Yeah.
So they're welcome for next year. I'm going to make a really nice one.
And they should keep adding to it too.
Exactly. They can just keep adding to it, which is great. Mm-hmm. So when we create this, are we kind of just doing like a PowerPoint, kind of like, was Amber's a PowerPoint? Is that kind of what it was, or was it something else? You guys know?
It seems like, I don't know if they made it a PowerPoint off of her presentation, but it looked like it was a PowerPoint.
I wonder if we need like, I mean, because for her, it obviously had pictures of her. But like for my school, what's difficult, like for our other class that we have to record, they won't let me record. So, and they wouldn't even let me get the back of students' heads. So even though I had students in my class, and even though like I had parent permission, my school wouldn't let me. So like my teacher like zoomed in on me while I was doing my thing. So I probably couldn't put pictures of my student.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I was talking to my principal and I'm like, okay, well, if I get parent permission, is that all right? And they didn't want to risk it, which is totally fine. Like, I understand their point of view, but we figured it out. So have you guys had that issue with the other class that you guys are in?
No.
Oh.
The way that I did my lesson plan and did my lesson was I actually did it in a small group because I'm working with kids with very severe disabilities. You can't really teach them a lesson. So I took a couple kids from the less severe ERR room and worked with one of their groups. That iPad at the end of their table. Obviously, I got permission first. Granted, they were very focused on themselves for a little bit, but we ended up doing the work, and they were honestly like kind of trying to impress whoever was going to be watching the film. It worked out kind of well, but I think doing it in a smaller group setting for what I was doing at least was kind of nice. But I didn't run into that issue. I kind of wonder.
So I only had 6 students in my class at the time, but they said since it was in a special education classroom instead of a gen ed class, like I guess I'm narrowing it down that they're in a special ed class. But if I was in a gen ed class, they said it wouldn't matter. So I know. Yeah, but it's all right. It's they're here to protect the students, so like I get it.
Yeah, they already had to sign a consent form for the school in general. So, but yeah, I was just able to send out an additional one to my students and the kids that I didn't send it out to because I did it in a small group. They just played on the computer until I was done.
Yeah,
I've been pretty accommodating.
That's good. I think that's all the questions, right?
I think so. I was gonna say when I did my video observation, we do it right after snack time with the preschoolers. So if one finishes snack, I was working with that student, and then they would rotate into playtime while I got the next student. And so I would have small group, but I was really doing one-on-one, but rotating at the same time. So that's
nice.
An interesting way of doing it. I wish, for my next one, I'll probably have multiple students, which will be a cool kind of experience to have of having a small group and teaching all at once rather than the one-on-one. But it was interesting to have like that rotation aspect. So if you can do rotations, you should check that out because it's pretty cool.
Okay.
I actually did for one of my projects. It was discrete trial training, and they talked about doing that kind of rotation a little bit using discrete trial training. Are you familiar with that one? Discrete trial training?
Yeah.
Is that what you were kind of doing, or?
No, it was just more of like the lesson plans that we had to do where we videotaped ourselves. Just the way that she has her classroom like established, that's what she does. I'm not sure if it falls underneath what you're talking about.
Yeah, because in one of the articles I read, they would just kind of rotate like that, and just kind of reminded me of that. That's cool.
Yeah, I liked it.
Well, again, now that you're going to have a new classroom, you can present your information a new way.
Right?
So it's good that you're getting different exposures.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Anything else you guys would like to add?
I think we have hit everything.
So.
Okay, and I don't know if my link's gonna work, so Katarina, do you think you could submit it? I don't know why.
As always.
Right, I know, like every time I click on it, it doesn't, so.
Nope, that sounds good.
Okay, good, I'll pass it on to you then.
Okay.
All right, guys, so really quick, so for next week, do you guys have off Thursday, Friday for school?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Ooh, that's nice. Do you guys want to try it Wednesday, or like I'm going to be in McCall on Thursday, Friday. That's just me personally. I might get reception there. I'm not sure.
I'm up for any.
But it's up to you guys.
We can do it Wednesday if we do it like Wednesday evening.
What'd you say?
Yeah, like what time were you thinking?
I'm done at 3.
Okay.
Time after that.
Can we shoot a little later in the evening again? Because I might head up to Boise myself. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean,
4, 5.
You want to do 5? I don't know. I don't care, you guys. Whatever you guys want to do.
Do 5. Wednesday at 5 o'clock.
and then if you have to change it, you can email. But we'll still do Wednesday evening. But for right now, Wednesday at 5.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes. Let me move it so that I can remember while you guys are.
I know I'm gonna write it down right after this.
Okay. At 5.
All right. All right. I'll send that to you right now so you can send it in.
Sounds good.
All right. I'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Sounds
Bye.
great. Bye.
Bye.